Oh, how's she going, eh? Listen, you boys gotta settle down with this pineapple business. Nothing good has ever come out of Chatham, Ontario, save for maybe Bob Azumi, and he was actually from Blenheim. You guys are forcing me up on a hill I'm willing to die on. There will be no buffalo pineapple bullshit in Cayuga. Have a good one. We'll see you this weekend. Love you.
Bobby Roast Beef here with Jigs and Bigs podcast. Another brand new episode for you. We got a good one, guys. I have not done a ton of recording or a ton of fishing this week, but I've got a lot of good shit to talk about. We'll be talking with you guys about it. Trust me, you don't want to miss out at all. I got Who the Fuck is Joe Brown with us, and he is just hot off of a trip up at the St. Lawrence River that you're not going to want to miss, guys. We will see you with a full update on that. I guess apparently he kind of risked his life a little bit, and there was actually other people to witness this. It was a little bit crazy. But we got all kinds of good stuff to talk about. A Broke on the Boat segment this week, as well as Adjust the Tip and an FTG that you're not going to want to miss. Guys, we will see you with much more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this. Good stuff right there. Yeah, I just want to give a little bit of a heads up that while I am aware that the folks on the live stream are jig heads, didn't hear anything there. Everything is recorded on the show as it should be. That's why I do this shit locally, is for that reason alone. We had a little bit of a hiccup, interrupted the stream, but the jig heads I think are going to be fine. Speaking of jig heads, we got two jig heads in the house with us. We got John Hagens with us. We got Vidal out in Texas joining us on this Monday morning. A Monday morning show recording because travel kind of interrupted our standard schedule of recording. But I think our schedule is going to get a little bit more fucked up as October goes along, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, it's going to get weird.
It is. It's going to get super weird. There's a couple of things that are going to be going on that are going to make things kind of shitty, and but they're going to be great as far as my business goes, so it's just one of those things I kind of have to do. And actually, it will benefit the show in the long run, because what this is going to allow me to do is get some wiggle room for some additional like taking time off to do some of these sends, like the send that I am planning in April with Todd Sefton. We're going to go and do a 420 Easter special. We're going to go smoke some hams on the Lund at St. Clair. That's the plan. So we're slowly putting some things together that are going to be pretty fun, pretty interesting. Joe, how are you this week?
Oh man, what a week!
Yeah,
just fresh off the St. Lawrence River.
It's crazy.
Man, yeah, some wicked tough fishing up there.
I got to give a shout out to the Ship Motel. You guys were all up at the Ship Motel, right?
We were.
Yeah.
We were. Dude, that parking lot was just packed with boats.
It looked like a boat dealership. No bullshit. Like you guys were just selling a bunch of rigs all over the place.
Yeah.
These prices are insane. And
yeah, we fit something like 12 boats in that lot or something. Yeah, it was crazy.
I do want to call attention to, there was one thing that I just thought was comedic genius, and you, I think, were like a little bit like eye-rolly. But you had mentioned that you guys were potentially going to be fishing with a family of a very famous person. You were going to be fishing with Aaron Lewis's dad?
Yeah, he was up there.
That's awesome.
Didn't really get to talk to him. He wasn't very social. He's an older guy, you know what I mean? So he wasn't very social with the younger guys. But after, just quick passing of a couple words, and that's pretty much it.
When you texted me that, I was like, oh, that's kind of, I responded and I said, well, that's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that he was fishing that much anymore, or at the very least that it had been a while. And your response was everything that I wanted from that. You're like, it feels like you've been waiting to say that your whole life. And I'm like, oh, I sure did, Joe. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Why don't we start with your week? It seems like your week was truly the fishiest.
Yeah. So, dude, I went up to St. Lawrence River with a great group of guys. Met up there. I went up there, Thursday was my first day up there.
Mm-hmm.
I took Jeremiah, which was awesome. Pulled him out of school for a couple days.
Yep.
You know, we took the run up there. We left at like 5 a.m. on Thursday.
That's awesome, dude.
Straight up there, dude, right to the water. Like, didn't stop at the motel, nothing. Just went straight to the water. We launched out of Cape Vincent, which is basically the closest ramp launch to Lake Ontario, like the mouth.
Oh, all right.
Dude, like 5-footers immediately off the rip, like in there, like we're getting soaked. It was wild. You know,
and
it
the
was
wind,
just,
you said the wind was like 18-20.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So I had originally planned on touching the lake, and I'll go into it at some point, and I didn't. I didn't touch the lake, which is unfortunate because that's where the fish were being caught.
Yeah.
Right now, the St. Lawrence River is all fucked up, dude. It's the
Really?
river is still mid-60s. I was getting like 66, 65 degrees.
Yeah.
So they don't right now. They're typically in that fall transition. They're typically chewing, and they just were not. I mean, we didn't catch a fish until Saturday. Like a decent fish till Saturday. We finally found some on some shoals, but first, yeah, dude, it was that first day. We got out for a few hours till like 4. It was just the wind was just absolutely insane. The chop, I mean, even in the river, up the river, it was just the chop was absolutely insane. So it was tough to stay on spots, tough casting, like all that. So we went out, had a couple, had a couple beers with the guys. The guys started to roll in. We were one of the first up there. I splashed with Jay Haskins. Actually went up there.
Oh, nice.
He went up there. So him and I splashed at we got up there at like the same exact time. So we both splashed. We both started to head towards the lake, and then when we were dealing with that chop, we immediately changed our minds.
Oh yeah.
The one good thing I will say is I got to test the Icon on big water.
Oh, for sure. In those conditions, that's good. That's real
and
good.
she took it well. But so Thursday we fished. Friday, dude, was tough. We didn't put I don't think we put a fish on the boat Friday.
Oh, no kidding.
Besides panfish, stuff like that just were hitting drop shots and whatnot.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah and I were out there 9 or 10 hours on Friday, just grinding, dude. And it
was that rough?
We were seeing them.
Shit.
We just couldn't get them to bite anything. And I'm reaching out to some of the other guys. They're like, dude, we haven't caught a fucking thing. And that day, a couple of guys did go out to the lake and caught some. They were just in the lake, dude.
Yeah.
And I did.
Just the wrong spot.
Yep. And I was having Jeremiah, I was being real iffy about the lake and the swells and, the rollers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kept watching the forecast. I'm like, dude, it's going to be rough out there. And then, the forecast would change, in the middle of the day, and then it would end up being fine out there. But, yeah, we fished the river the entire time. I finally got Jeremiah on 3 on Saturday. I finally got him catching, which was awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, he was just running a big Joshy on the shoals, dragging him just above the bottom of the shoals. Big Joshy with a red Jig Masters ball head jig, and
nice.
Yeah, he started to smack them. So nothing crazy, nothing big. They're they range from 2 to 3 pounds. So we did that, and then what was it? I think it was also Saturday. We were so it was super calm Saturday in comparison to Thursday and a lot of Friday. And we made a run up north, and we were coming back south, and it was super calm. I was running at between 60, 63 miles an hour. And, dude, out of nowhere, a rogue, 5-footer. Didn't even see it. It was from a one of those tour ferries, and it was kind of it had just pulled into the cove, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't if you see them, you're like, okay, I know there's wakes coming.
Sure.
Dude, it was hidden. And him and I hit it so hard at 60 miles an hour. Ryan Bogley, and the crazy part is, it was 2 of them. So we go up and we come down. I notice there's and the problem with these is the worst thing you can do is come off the throttle. You just have to throttle through
right through it. Yeah.
Yep. Because if you don't, you'll spear it, and it'll be a bad. And you just got to keep that wheel straight. 'Cause if you turn that wheel, that's when the prop can catch weird and spin. Yeah, kind of like what happened with West Logan.
Yep.
And so we go through that, and Ryan Bogley actually saw it from like a mile away. He's like, dude, from where we were, it looked like just a piece of your prop was in the water. like, oh yeah, it was by far the worst one I've ever had in any bass boat.
How hard did you hit?
Dude, it wasn't even, it took it, like, we hit hard.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel as bad like it would have in the Skeeter.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was fine. It was just a pucker moment for sure.
Oh, 100%. Dude, especially when you're up there with your kid. Oh, dude. My God, dude.
Oh, dude, I look
That's
over
the first
at him.
thing I thought of.
He lost his hat.
Yep.
He had a Dark Horse tackle hat. And he just, like, he had on back. He's like, that kid has the worst luck on that boat with hats. And that was the first thing he's like, my hat. And I'm like, dude, did that scare you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, me too. Yeah.
That's the last thing you want to hear from the guy that's running the shit. Oh,
yeah. I was like, yeah, man, that scared me too. I was like, that was a bad one. And then, and of course, there's like fucking 3 other bass boats like in the area fishing a shoal off to, I was like, oh god, they all saw that. But dude, we never like stopped. I just slowed down. We kept going like a couple of champs. But I will say when we got to our next stop, I was like, all right, let me just check, make sure all the mounts are still tight. Like,
yeah, because that'll rattle some shit.
Yeah,
man.
oh yeah,
hell yeah,
rattled our fucking brains. But
fuck.
Yeah, so. Saturday was a good day. Got on some fish. St. Lawrence River. If you guys have never been up there, you got to go. It's such a wild fishery. Unfortunately, we were up there on a weekend where they were just screwed up. The water temps are double digits higher than they're supposed to be this time of year. I'm hoping when I go back up in 2 weeks that they cool like have some cold snaps and
I think
cool that water down. Yeah,
I think they will.
Yep.
I'm curious, Joe. So this gathering of like all these anglers, was this just a bunch of folks going up to pre-fish for that tournament?
No, this was just a group of guys just going up to fun fish essentially.
Oh, no shit.
I was the only one up there that's doing this tournament in a couple weeks.
Oh, see, I kind of had the feeling. I was like, when I knew that Ryan and Dylan were there, and I knew that there was a couple other folks that were there. I'm like, I wonder if they're doing that derb.
No. I was the only one up there that's coming back in 2 weeks.
No shit.
But obviously I didn't want to pass up a good trip with a bunch of guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
And the opportunity to pre-fish, which didn't do me any goddamn good because the fish were all fucked up. But we were seeing them, dude. We were finding them, and literally, I would literally like hit them on the top of the head with my lures, and they just weren't doing anything.
No shit.
It wasn't until like that last day. A couple guys in the lakes put on some big ones. There was one that was 698 that got caught. Smallie in the lake. Yeah, it was wild. It was, like I saw the pictures of it.
Yeah.
That last day, because we didn't fish yesterday, we just hit the road because I knew if we fished, we would not want to leave. And then, Jeremiah had school today, so I had to make sure he was home at a decent time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But some of those guys stayed until this morning. But yeah, it was a wild time, dude. It was a fun time. It's always a great time up there. Spent it with some good guys. It was fishing was tough. Back up there in 2 weeks. Got Zach as my partner, so
going up there. Zach's your partner for the derb.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Yep. So yeah, he's meeting me up there. We're going up a few days early so we can pre-fish again. I was able to get some pretty good spots. So
watch out when you're up there with Zach. Because I can only imagine you'll be up doing your thing on the front deck making casts, and then it's gonna switch over to that meme from the Oldfields show that we did last February. With the sax guy playing and he's dancing. I know. Just watch your back.
I know. But yeah, man, good time up there. That was about as fishy as it got for me. Lots of beers, lots of laughs, some fishing, and I had a rough time. Jeremiah. Well, I was finally able to get him on fish, but dude, he fucking had a blast. Oh my god,
that's
he
awesome.
Have such a good time up there. He's like, I can't wait to come back up here and da 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 da.
That's freaking awesome, dude. I am stoked.
Got to hang out with Chris.
That's awesome.
We hung out with Chris a couple times.
Nice.
Yeah, he brought us to a couple spots on like off docks. We were trying to get, because dude, the muskie and the pike are up there like shallow. Mm-hmm. Like we spotted a couple muskie, nothing huge. They wouldn't touch anything, but a couple nice pike got caught. We didn't get onto any, but Jay Haskins caught a big one.
Nice.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone caught any muskie, but yeah, it was just a good time, man. Good time.
That is freaking absolutely awesome, man. Yep. Absolutely awesome. I'm glad it worked out so well, you know?
Yeah.
You were sending me pictures when you were up there, and I was just like, oh, I got so much shit going on, you son of a bitch. But yeah, it was absolutely fucking wild, dude. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I'm glad Jeremiah had such a fun time. That's great. That's the best.
Yep. Absolutely.
So let's check in with some jig heads here before I jump in here, because I got a couple things. My week, not nearly as fishy as your week was, but just in a different way, I think. So we got Tim Behan in the house. He says, "Morning, boys. How we doing, Tim?" Tim, I have a little bit of an update in the September scavenger hunt that we'll get to probably after I wrap up my week here. Then Pat Martin chimes in, says, "Good morning, boys," and then he says, "I'm going to call in that broke on the boat this morning. Just too tired to form a logical sentence last night." Don't worry, Pat. It's okay. We got a broke on the boat that I'm going to run, and I'll use yours next week. He's got a good one. He had an instance. He was out on the water with Matt Thayer, and he was like, "This might be a good broke on the boat segment." And I said, "I love it. Let's go ahead and do it." So my week was kind of interesting. So I have, as we rolled into this week, like I fished my ass off last week. I had a great time doing it. It was great. It was unbelievable. And I knew this was going to be a slow week because anytime I have a wedding booked on that week, I need to dedicate a little bit of additional time to the prep for that. So I'm running a lot of errands, checking all the boxes, making sure everything is in its right place for these big days. Well, this last weekend, I had 2 weddings. So before we get started, big congratulations to Christine and Reed from our Friday night wedding, which was awesome. Great couple. And a huge congratulations to Charlotte and Megan. That was the Saturday wedding that I had done. And actually, with Char and Meg, I officiated their wedding. So I was doing double duty. I was actually working that day with my youngest daughter, and I called her DJ Baby Beef, and everybody thought that was just adorable. I'm trying to get my girls into the business to, 2 things. One, I would love, a little bit of a helping hand for some of these things, especially with the officiating and all that and handling the music and everything. It's a lot to do all in one spot. It can be done, but friggin' nuts. He was, having my youngest really did help out and make that whole thing super smooth. She did a great job. She did as good a job as her sister did in my September wedding, which is great. And then, so I had double the prep to do, and last minute changes coming left and right. There was a couple of things I carved out time for that I needed to get done. The first one, and actually before I jump in, as far as these weddings go, big shout out to Dr. Scholes, because I added a set of insoles to my shoes, and wow, they made a huge difference. Like normally the next day after I'm on my feet for 11, 12 hours like that, I'm hobbling around the house. I'm whatever, it's just ridiculous. Going and fishing from the kayak after a day like that is not so bad because I'm sitting down and I'm pedaling, and it actually kind of helps stretch my feet out a little bit, the pedaling. Getting in the boat kind of sucks. Kind of does, because if there's any chop at all up and down, it's just standing up it sucks. So I made the decision. I'm all right, we're gonna do something proactive, and what a difference. I got up Saturday morning, especially being that I had 2 events back to back. I wanted to be sure that I was all right for that other one. Man, I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. So Sunday, I was like, dude, should I just go out and fish so that we got some fishy content to talk about? Maybe that'd be a good idea. And I opted not to. I did a couple of things that I think would work really good for this week planning, that we're getting into, the week that we're in right now. So last week I had carved out some time. I think it was Tuesday. I took a ride down to JCS Marine in Rhode Island. Talked to John. We had, remember my trolling motor had just stopped spinning. And I had attempted to take a look at this. And one of the things that did cross my mind was that maybe I had something wound up around the inside fishing line or weeds or something. I don't know.
Yep.
But I tried taking the prop off and I just didn't want to force it. Like, it was super tight. And I'm like, I don't want to force it. I don't want to wreck it. You know what I mean? And then be in a position where, I've got the Cayuga trip and now I've got to replace this or wait on parts, or can I even find them? So I talked to John and I was like, so what do you think it is? Because I'm about to go and test it by taking the battery and just putting it to the contacts of the motor directly to see if it spins or if it's something in the control that's just shot. He goes, bring it down here. Screw it. And I said, okay, that sounds good. Well, I happened to get a package in the mail the day before from Omega Boat Step. And I was like, okay, so we'll go ahead. We'll go down there and we'll see what this is all about. And I had already kind of on Monday done a big chunk of my prep, so I felt great clearing this whole day and just going and doing this. So I got on the road, went down to JCS. It was good catching up with John. Yeah, I was 100% right. It was a giant knot of fishing line that was on the what do you call it? That was on the around the spindle there that connects to the prop. And
I had a feeling, dude.
Yeah, I was like, and to be perfectly honest, I was kind of like, I'll show you this right here. That's what it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's after he took some off.
Yeah.
And that's why, remember you told me, you're like, oh, that prop should just come right off. And with some of these smaller trolling motors, they can be a little bit more snug, but having all that shit on there, that's exactly why it was so tight on there. So I was like, all right, cool. Now I know, and I've seen the stuff in order. So cleared all that off. Everything's good to go. And I was like, you know what? I go, I'm just going to hit the road and come back. Now, John and I did have a conversation about electronics. There's going to be some boat mods coming. We're planning in through maybe the winter months. Early winter, I'd like to do a drop off and do some trailer modifications. We've got some trailer modifications that we'll talk about, and do some upgrades to our for electronics. I've been bouncing around between a couple of things. I was like, instead of just doing like a 9 and a 9. A 9 on the console, I was thinking about doing a single 12 at the console, and then maybe just to start things off, I have what do you call it? A Garmin, not a tracker. What the hell is it called? Striker. A Garmin Striker 4. And that would give me the 2D sonar right up front, which is really all that I'm really looking for right now. Depth and water temp is really all I kind of need. A little bit of 2D sonar, and boom, we'd be in business. That model doesn't have the GPS, and I wouldn't be using it up there anyway. I'd be using all that at the console. So my idea was to kind of do one of those. And I was talking with John, and he goes, you know what? He goes, dude, honestly, if you're even considering getting a 12, he goes, just buy 2 9s. He goes, you would be better off to have 2 9s, one at the bow, one at the console. And he's like, go that route. And he's like, he's making the recommendation that I look at Garmin instead of Humminbird. Okay. And we'll see why. I think I know why. I think he's like, at some point you're going to go with forward facing eventually. And he's probably right. That day is eventually going to come. Who knows how long it's going to be before that happens. But so it's one of the things that I'm considering there. So it was really good to kind of get all of this kind of worked out and everything. Left with a couple of JCS Marine decals that are going to go on the truck. And I hit the road and I got back. And then I installed those Omega boat steps when I got home. And we're going to talk about those more and what Omega is all about in the Broke on the Boat segment. So I got those installed. I was feeling pretty good. And then Wednesday was just another day where I was back in the office, like handling a bunch of like the actual physical stuff, charging devices that needed to be charged, getting things ready for the wedding. Thursday, what did I do on Thursday? Oh, so I ordered some stuff from Omnia in preparation for the Cayuga trip. Some things that I'm thinking will be good to have on hand for the tournament. Am I a moron for choosing a big Bass Lake to go to for this tournament? Yes. But I mean, with my track record, the bar is set so low. I just want to put fish on the board. And if these fish that I'm catching are too big for the tournament, so be it. I don't give a shit. I just want to catch some bigs and have a good time over the weekend doing it. So Thursday, I had this delivery come in, and I had picked up. I've been re-upping on a lot of skirts for different colors, and I bought a bunch of those undressed Picasso shock blades. So now I've got a variety of skirts. I've got a bunch of different trailers, and things that work really well together, so I can assemble them as I need. I'm such a fucking geek with this shit. You know what I mean? I just love it. I love it like that. So I got a bunch of that stuff set up. I got a bunch of plastics. I re-upped on some terminal that I kind of wanted to have on hand. And I did a little bit of research on Cayuga, looking at some maps and asking around a bit and, getting an idea. And I have a plan. I'm going to check out on Friday. That's the only like pre-fishing I'm going to get. Mainly on Friday, I kind of want to just get a rough idea of what water conditions are, what's the clarity like and the color, everything like that. Right now, it seems like we shouldn't have any shakeups between Friday and Saturday as far as weather goes. So what I see on Friday should be reasonably close. I have a couple of spots that look sexy as hell on the map that I'm going to go and pre-fish and see if there are fish there. Once I get bit, I'm leaving. And I might even take the barbs off of some of these hooks and try and shake them off.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of not blowing them up.
Sure.
And we'll see what happens. So that's my plan for Friday. So I got all that squared away, and then so I did the event on Friday. Friday was great. Saturday was awesome. Sunday morning I woke up and I was like, do I want to go fish? And I said no. I got a couple other things that I want to do. So there were some other accessories I wanted to pick up to make the experience for my co-anglers that are joining me on the boat at any time a little bit easier. And I went to Cabela's. And oddly enough, I went to go grab a coffee and something for breakfast on my way out, and I got a text from my youngest daughter. After the wedding, she had come home. My wife had picked her up, and she had come home and then gone to her friends to sleep over. She calls me and she says, "Hey, are you going out, or are you able to pick me up?" I was like, "Well, I'm going to Cabela's." So I'm like, "If you want me to pick you up, you're welcome to join." And she goes, "Yeah, I'll go with you." Dude, I don't know. I think my youngest might be turning over a new leaf with the outdoors. Okay. I think so. Right. I don't really 100% know. But she says to me, she's like, "Yeah, I'll go for the ride." So we get down there. Now, remember, we went to go see Metallica at Foxborough, and we went into Bass Pro. I was like, the thing is about Bass Pro shops, I go, their bathrooms are immaculate. Yes. In comparison to other retail establishments. Even in the shithole of Eastern Massachusetts, they're immaculate in comparison. Even in the shithole of Hartford, Connecticut, they're much better than their retail counterparts. You go down south to a Bass Pro, it's truly immaculate. Yeah. So we go and we, she had gone into the Bass Pro up in Foxborough and was kind of like, "Yeah, we're going to go. I'll go with you to Cabela's, Dad. We can get some more fudge and all kinds of stuff." I was like, "All right, fair enough." Yeah. And my sister had given me a birthday card last month and with a gift certificate in there. So I'm like, I got some stuff that I want to pick up for the boat. There's a couple odds and ends that for plastics that weren't available. So I'm like, I'm going to go and use this gift card and cash it in. It's all good. Dude, she asked me, she goes, "Hey, can I get a Cabela's hoodie?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah." Not only did she get a Cabela's hoodie, but she got a brown hoodie with the Cabela's is written in Realtree. Oh, no shit. Yeah, I'm like, that's the vibe you're looking for? I was like, I've expected you to go with a black on gray and kind of keep your aesthetic the way it is. And she's like, I don't know, I just like it. I go, maybe going out to school out in the sticks to where you go is starting to rub off on you. I was like, yeah, right. It was just, we had a good time. So we actually, we grabbed lunch at Pit Stop Barbecue, and which pissed my wife off so bad because she signed up to work. And she was like, "I was going to suggest we do that for dinner, but I don't want you guys to eat that stuff twice. It's not good for you." And I'm like, what do I do in life that's good for me?
Yeah, right.
I'm a moron. I'm an idiot. Don't do as I do. I need to fix that. But I'm like, when has that ever stopped me? So we got home. I took the day and I installed a bunch of the stuff that's on there. So the boat is looking good. I kind of want to wash it. And actually, I have a question for you, Joe.
Yes.
What do you recommend I wash the exterior of my boat with to make it nice and shiny? I'm curious if I'm going to hear the same thing from you that I hear from other people.
So I have used, I'll be 100% honest. The thing that has worked the best for me is I use, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Is it hot sauce? Is it hot sauce?
Yes, hot sauce.
Everybody says the same thing.
So that's what I wipe mine down with. So I do that like after the fact. Yep. Dude, honestly, these days, when I want to like wash it and get those, because like the hot sauce is great as like a finisher. You know what I mean? Okay. That's I wasn't sure if that was like the wash. Or no. No, that's like the finisher for me. There's another one I'm using right now that I tried out that I don't like. That I'm going to go back to the hot sauce.
Okay.
I can't think of the name of it right now. So I'm not even going to tell you because it's not worth trying. But dude, honestly, I bring it to a fucking car wash.
That's what I'm planning to do.
Through. Yeah. Yep. That's where I wash it and like to get any, hard water lines, scum lines off. And then I'll go home and
polish it.
I go right home. I'll dry it. Dude, I dry it with my leaf blower.
Yep. Oh,
you know what I mean? And then that's where I'll put the hot sauce on to kind of make it pop a little bit.
There you go. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's basically all I'm looking to do is just kind of wash it. And everybody's told me they're like the hot sauce is the one. And I know that there's like a variety. Like there's something they call like quick sauce and then like green sauce or something.
Vinyl sauce. And yeah.
Oh, the vinyl sauce might be nice for the interior too. I don't know. That I'm going to have to do at the end of the season. That's what I'm waiting for on that. The other thing that I realized was like, I didn't realize that my fucking console was aluminum and not wood. Oh, yeah. I was amazed. I was like, shit. I figured that was going to be wood because I know they add those after the fact.
Sure.
And I was like, holy shit. So one of these accessories I had to do some drilling for, and it works amazing. So we'll talk about that in Broke on the Boat. You guys don't want to miss out on all that stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't the fishiest week for me, but in a way, considering the weekend I'm going into, and I am getting out, I'm going to go out tomorrow. I'm not sure 100% where I'm going to send it, but I want to try out some of these accessories and road test a couple of things. One of these accessories I'm already put through its paces testing it, and it's been a workout for them, and so far it's great. I do want to try out one of these other ones, so I am going out tomorrow. Wednesday, Thursday, I've got all lined up for prep stuff, and I'm leaving Friday morning, and I'll be heading out to Cayuga, and then we're gonna send it there. It should be really good, and I will be getting back basically in time for trivia on Monday. That's the plan. So if you and I record on Monday, even if I pull over at somewhere where I've got some cell service and we record the show, I'll have it. I can edit it once I get back and then, get it online in plenty of time for Tuesday morning. So that should work out pretty good. But
what's that, like a 3-hour ride for you?
It ends up being to Cayuga. It's 4.5.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And I think, that's 4.5 looking at it like, looking at it from the map of like, going the speed limit and everything, being stationary. I think I might be able to get it down to 4, depending on what time I leave.
Yeah. So we took Waze took us like a weird like back way home yesterday. I don't know if there was like traffic on 81 or whatever. So we went through a lot of those like farm towns, and dude, I swear to God, the deer were trying to fucking kill us yesterday. We had 4.
That bad,
like just walk right out in front. Like I had to smash the brakes on the truck and the boat twice. And Jeremiah's even like, they're trying to kill us today. I was like, dude, this is ridiculous.
You have brakes on your trailer, right?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's nice. I do not. So I got to be careful with that shit. Yeah, not on my trailer.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I got to be
not
careful.
Even like surge brakes or anything, huh?
I don't believe so.
No.
Yeah, I don't believe so. I mean, it's so fucking light.
That's
you know what
true,
I mean? I think that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
In comparison, it's so light. Like, I think my entire boat is like 1,600 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not much, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. checking in with these jig heads here. Let's see what we got here. So Tim Behan chimed in a little bit earlier. He was like, catching a rainbow trout was a bitch. Finally got one. Todd S. It says a crying emoji and then a sign of the horns. Tim's got to head into a meeting. Have a good meeting, Tim. And then Pat chimes in. He goes, yeah, just left a message for the Broke on the Boat if you're able to load that in between segments. It's not going to make it for this portion right now. I'm not going to download it and everything in between, but I will have it for next week. So we're going to do 2 back-to-back Broke on the Boat segments, Pat. And then he says tin boats. That's the beauty of a tin boat, We're super light. So I do want to talk before. Now, Joe, do we have any headlines this week? Or
I got two. I got 2 quick ones.
Dude, you are the man. So yeah. I want to go over first and second place here for the September scavenger hunt tournament. I went through and I audited all these fish, and we had a tie up at first place is what we had. Now, with the number of anglers, how do we have? We had 11, which means that we are paying out, is it first, second, and third? Is it first, second, and third? I need to double check here. Yeah, it is first, second, and third. No shit. Okay. Well, that changes some shit for your boy. So it looks like this. We had a tie with Tim Behan and Jason Stevens. They each had 10 points. And so that means in that situation, it comes down to the overall inches. Tim Behan came in at 125.75 inches total for the month. Unbelievable, Tim. That is fucking awesome. Jason Stevens, however, came in at 144.25 inches. Holy shit. Congratulations, Jason Stevens, for taking that first place spot, which means that Tim Behan takes second this month. And with 9 points, your boy Bobby Roast Beef takes third.
It's rigged. It's rigged.
At the end, I got a little bit cocky.
Yeah.
I got a little bit cocky. I really kind of thought I maybe had this one in the bag, but Tim managed to squeak right over me. We were tied up, and then Jason Stevens was able to get that last fish on. It was like the last day of the month. He was able to pop that sucker in. I was like, "You've got to be shitting me!" It was intense. So yeah, we got first, second, third place prizes. I'm going to do payouts. It's going to happen this week. I'll probably be sending them out on Wednesday. I already have everybody's payment information, so we'll be doing that stuff. So congratulations to our listeners, or to the winners of the September multi-species scavenger hunt tournament. You guys are the best. We're going to catch up on raffles on next week's show. Is what we're going to do. We're going to catch up on all that and handle all that and make sure everything's good. I did have a couple of people ask about, like, oh, yeah, you got to bring back the raffles. I'm like, I kind of want to get a couple of, boxes checked before we keep them going, because there's some folks that have reached out and they're like, hey, when am I getting such and such a prize? And all of them are not coming from us. So it's just a matter of, like, cross-referencing, like, hey, did this go out or whatever? Specifically, like, we've had a number of folks, even at, remember when I did the Susquehanna event?
I do.
We had 2 folks over there that won Dark Horse boxes that were like, where's my box, God damn it? And I'm like, they're going to be shipped out when they ship out the boxes, which is exactly what happened. I'm overemphasizing the response, but they were just like, hey, I'm just curious when these are going to get sent out. So I'm like, yeah, no, they're good. They're good. You guys are all set. Don't worry about it. So, October is the last scavenger hunt of 2024. So if you're not entered, I mean, really, you have until the day that this drops is your last day to get in on it. So you better do it quick. The 8th is the last day to get in on it. I think you have until midnight that night in order to enter. Yeah. Or if it is all through the 7th, then, I'm sorry about that. That sucks. But I think it goes through the 8th. I think you should be all right through the 8th. Let's hope. So let's talk about the slot limit tournament. Yes. Currently, in the slot limit tournament, we have 13 anglers as of my last check, which is not that bad. Well, actually, let's go through the names, too, and kind of give some props to those anglers.
I want to know who I'm going to be up against.
Oh, okay. So we've got the one and only Andrew Tomer. We got Drew competing in this one. Yeah, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Binya Outdoors, of course, I think he was actually the first or second to join in. Of course, I'm entered in. We've got Dave Urkey. We've got David Hunkler. Now, David had actually sent me an email yesterday asking a question. He was like, look, the place that I'm going to doesn't have great Wi-Fi service. Or not Wi-Fi, great cell phone service.
Sure.
He goes, so is it possible I can get off the water early and then go enter these at one spot? He goes, I just don't want to be the guy who's sandbagging. Look, there's instances where that has to happen. That's fine. In fact, we allow an hour after lines back in where you can do exactly that. Get to a place with cell phone service and enter whatever fish you weren't able to enter previously. Like, if you got to sandbag it that way, I get it. Like, it all depends on where you're going. It might make it easier for you to choose a body of water where you've got the cell phone service, but if you feel that confident that being out there in the sticks is better for this derb, go for it. Go make it happen. I do want to say I have taken out the check-in, check-out. And the reason I've done that is so that you can change bodies of water. That's why I've done it. So if you want to change your body of water, that is on you. And this is an experiment. I just want to see if it's going to work or if it's not going to work. And I figured, to tell you the truth, doing this on a benefit event was probably a better move than doing it on a straight up, tournament. This is a fundraising tournament. So emphasis on the fun. We're going to try that out. So if you're a bank angler and you're like, I'm going to jump in the car and go elsewhere, go for it. If you want to pull your kayak or boat out of the water and drive however far you got to go and take that time, it's more of a question of, is risk and reward. Is it worth it to waste that time? Or should you put we'll have some fun with it. I know that there are some people that are going to be like, oh, but then people could continue fishing right until 5 o'clock. Wrong. Those photos all have a timestamp. And if they are timestamped after the lines out time, they're going to be DQ'd. Entering them in is a whole different thing. So we got David Hunkler in the house. We got Janelle Orsino. We've got Jimmy Golahan. We've got John Higgins. Jose Vasallo Pica with us. We've got Ken Eberhardt. I think it's Eberhardt. We got Nick DeShane.
Oh.
Yep. Cheryl Bentley's in on this one. And Todd Sefton. So we got a bunch of jig heads in the house, which I absolutely love. I think it's going to be fantastic. This is going to be a really good time. Remember, guys, it's a slot limit tournament, so those fish that you enter have to be between 12 inches and 17 inches in that slot. Anything over 17 gets DQ'd. Anything under 12 gets DQ'd. Those are the fish that count. You got to catch as many of them as you can in there, and it's the total accumulative inches that ultimately you're going to take this. And if you remember, last time we did this, it was Brody that freaking smashed that with the win.
Yeah, he did.
He killed it. He absolutely killed it. Let's see what we got. Oh, he goes, there we go. He goes, Pat Martin goes, Matt and I will be in, but I haven't registered yet. So he goes, so call it 15. He goes, I'm probably going to have a few late subs. Service is kind of shitty where we're going. No worries, Pat. That happens. And that's why I set it up that way. Was it this way? You've got an hour to play with to get to cell phone coverage and get yourself, all submitted. But this is really going to be good. And I'm going to give all of you guys a round of applause that have entered, because at 13 anglers, we have beaten the June turnout by one so far. And with 15, if we get Matt and Pat, then that's going to be even better. The more the merrier. So if you're already entered in the slot limit tournament for October the 12th, thank you and congratulations for being a part of something awesome. But feel free to tell all your friends about it and get it all in there. John Hagan says, my problem will be finding a fish longer than 7 inches. That's what she said. But I guess that's not a great problem to have. It's if you're like, all of these fish that I'm catching are 17 and a quarter or larger than 17. That's a nice problem to have. Shitty for the tournament, but makes for a great day of fishing. And who knows? We'll see what happens. I would love I would love to have a great day catching numbers and all my fish be 17 plus inches. And I don't enter shit on the board. I would be beaming. You guys could look at a live satellite image of the Earth, and from Western New York, there would just be a glow, and it would be Bobby Roast Beef beaming. And Todd says, use them as bait. Yeah. In Ohio, I don't know if you can in Ohio. Speaking of bait, and I don't know why this made me of using largemouth as bait, but Flathead Candy John says, I've been having a conversation with the owner of the Instagram profile, Bass Fishing Sucks.
Oh, okay.
We're getting close to getting that individual on the show.
Okay.
It will be a if this happens, and I'm just kind of speculating, but we've talked about this before. If we get them on the show, it will be anonymous, because I'm not looking to blow up what they're doing, anything like that. So it'll be one of the few situations where it will be a phone call, not a Zoom meeting. And I will create a video element of it to put on YouTube of the interview, and for, the clips like I've been using Opus Clip 4 and everything to post that, using a photo of Bastrodamus. For that so that people will be able to check it out. And I think I'm going to run a little effect on their voice too, to kind of make it play up that whole, where you're listening to you're watching Inside Edition. They're exactly. We've got this mob boss, and they're just like,
so then after I choke this bitch out,
shit like that. I think it would be great. John asks questions, says they have to be 12 inches and caught by rod and reel. Affirmative. And caught by rod and reel. He goes, you should do the whole undercover with the face and the shadow with the voice effect. I thought about that too, but I kind of want to brand it for them with Bastrodamus, especially since Bastrodamus is a character on there. It will be really good. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show, but we did get one of our spooky stories from one of our jig heads, which is awesome. So the Halloween spooky show is on. It's game on. And listening to this message that came through, and this is an anonymous one, listening to this inspired a couple of my own stories that I was like, oh yeah, I remember some freaky deaky shit that happened. Not fishing related, other than the fact that I was living in a house on a lake at the time. And I can talk about that lake too, because there's been some crazy paranormal shit that's gone on that lake. Like a homeowner having her cameras and film confiscated by the FBI.
Interesting.
Yeah, sometime I think it was the early 80s or late 70s.
Huh.
Yeah, some shit was happening.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there were some agents
now
that
I'm
showed
intrigued.
up. Yeah, fucking wild. And I've seen some shit, and were drugs related? Of course there were. But I've seen some shit up there. It's going to be good. So as a reminder, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I've experienced something that was kind of spooky or supernatural or paranormal or anything like that while I was out on the water, you can call our hotline, 413-324-8519, and leave your message right there. Hey, if you think we're fucking crazy for thinking that things like the Bridgewater Triangle and October Mountain are really haunted places, call and tell us that. We'll put it all into the show. And it can be anonymous. You guys don't have to put your names on with this, anything. If you want to leave your name, awesome. If you leave your name and then you fuck up, leave me another message or text that number and say, hey, cut my name out of there. And I will be like, I'll fix it for you. I'll fix it in post, like they say. Oh, I think it's about that time, Joe.
It is.
I think it is about that time for the song to play.
All right, two quick stories for you. First one coming from our favorite Canadian, Nick Deshane.
I love
he's
that.
He's like my field reporter out there. He's got a couple. I got a couple in my inbox and Instagram that I'm going to work on the next couple weeks. But here we go. This comes from Outdoor Life, and the headline is "Lawsuit Accuses Pennsylvania Officer of Snooping on Private Property, Seeks to Limit Powers of the Fish and Boat Commission." This case aims to strike down a state law that gives Pennsylvania waterways conservation officers even broader authority than game wardens. A federal lawsuit filed Monday against the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission seeks to strike down a state law that gives PFBC officers broad authority to conduct warrantless searches on private land. The lawsuit was filed by Pennsylvania resident Tim Thomas, who accuses a waterways conservation officer of snooping around his lake house, harassing him and his wife, and issuing him bunk citations in 2023. Thomas claims that in the lawsuit that conservation officer Ty Moon conducted multiple unconstitutional searches at his lakeside cabin in Susquehanna that summer. He says that on 2 occasions, Moon entered his property without his or his wife's consent to search for evidence of potential fish and boat violations. Thomas also accuses Moon of harassing them and spying on them with binoculars from other side of the lake. In both instances, Moon issued Thomas a citation, and each time Thomas was vindicated and had the citations dropped. Tim faces a real concrete threat that defendants will enter and search that curtilage of his home in the future simply because the cabin has frontage on Butler Lake. The lawsuit reads, because defendants have entered and searched the curtilage of Tim's home without his consent or a warrant and are empowered by state law to do so whenever they wish, Tim feels insecure on his own property, even though he is following the law. Thomas is being represented in the suit by Kirby Thomas West, an attorney with the Institution for Justice, and the public interest law firm is currently litigating several other cases in multiple states as part of its Fourth Amendment project. A few of these lawsuits deal specifically with state fish and game agencies, and they are based on claims that game wardens and fish cops have at times violated hunters and anglers' Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful searches and seizures. And then it kind of goes on to explain a couple different instances, but yeah. So for those of you who don't know, when I say curtilage of the home, that's kind of like, that's like your yard, your shed, your, trash, all that stuff. So sounds like they're just doing some goofy stuff down in Pennsylvania, Bobby. The Fish and Wildlife Police.
Yeah, it seems a bit fishy to me, to say the least. I think there's some fuckery afoot.
Yeah. It seems that way, where he's kind of watching them with the bino. I mean, that's a little weird, like watching the house with binos from. That's like some Sopranos shit, Yeah. Just kind of weird.
That is fucking weird
stuff going on in PA. So, second story I have. This one made me a little sad. We've talked about GSM Outdoors, right? Kind of buying up a lot of companies, and they have bought up another one another company that I enjoy.
You will like a lot.
GSM Outdoors acquires RoboWorm.
Yep. I saw that one drop this week, too.
GSM Outdoors is proud to announce the addition of RoboWorm to its family of brands. Founded in 1989 when Greg Stump partnered with his father Harvey to start what Greg called his dream job. RoboWorm has become a soft plastic staple in the fishing industry, and the California-based manufacturer has built a reputation for high-quality, custom-poured worms. I can't explain how excited I am that GSM is adding RoboWorm to our lineup, says Bass Elite Series angler Robert Gee. RoboWorm have always been my safety net that I know I can go to anytime fishing is tough. They've bailed me out of countless times, fished in countless ways, and I can't think of a day since I started fishing where I didn't have a pack of RoboWorms in the boat. And based on their track record, I can't wait to see what GSM does to innovate and grow this awesome brand.
It's so funny. I just picked up a pack of those. RoboWorm makes like what I would call like a large Ned.
Yes.
And I picked up a pack of them, and as I was grabbing them, I was like, oh, this is probably one of the last batches of non-GSM owned RoboWorms that I'm ever going to buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, that's kind of nuts. Yeah, dude. I mean, this is such a weird thing because on the one hand, like, there's a side of me that's like, yeah, corporate America is too fucking big and needs to be checked. Yes.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, and this is like, like that Brittany Broski meme where it's like, there's one option, then another, and she does the and then the kind of face.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like this means that, I mean, I'm not saying that RoboWorm is hard to find by any sense of the means or anything, but now they will have the capital to go into production and be more readily available in more places more often. So there's like a benefit to that. You know what I mean? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, is it a great thing? Like everybody, ooh, boo, corporation bad. Yes, it sucks, but like, it's just sort of how it works.
GSM's making moves, dude. I mean, GSM was bought by, Platinum, franchisor, I guess, would be of Platinum Equity. But let's just talk like the last year and a half. They have RoboWorm, Dobbins Rods, Phoenix Rods, Buckeye Lures, Steel Shad, Bill Lewis.
That's right. I forgot about that one.
Gary Yamamoto.
I knew about, yeah.
Kudo, which I'm not familiar. I believe that's like tools. Big Baits. Or I'm sorry, Big Bite.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude. Like, and we've kind of talked about GSM Outdoors where they were kind of primarily hunting centric.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what
and they're making moves, so I respect that. But yeah. But it's just one of those things, man. It's like, is the quality gonna be the same? And I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see, I suppose.
That's exactly what it gets down to. That's all you can do, because on the one hand, if it's a brand that they're like, no, this is great, okay. Sometimes these brands are acquired so that they can, like I said, put this brand in more places and make it more readily available and build itself. Sometimes these brands are acquired to liquidate them.
Oh, of course.
To eliminate and eliminate competition, and that is shitty. That sucks. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's corporate America, and that's the way it fucking works. You know what I mean? That's capitalism right there. I mean, dude, it doesn't get any more capitalist than that.
Right. And
when Pepsi comes along and says, we want to buy Jigs and Bigs, there's a price tag.
Yeah, of course.
They could barely afford it.
Yeah, that's how it is. RoboWorm being that family-owned company, and you start to see those dollar signs in front of you, and I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
But me as a purchaser or a consumer versus, owner or whatever.
It makes you question. All you can do is hope. I remember specifically the Dobbins situation. A lot of people were like, what does this mean? They're like, does it mean that the quality is going to go down? It very well might, but it could take a decade for that to happen. It could be that they eliminate different lines and create other lines of product, where they're like, hey, we're going to get rid of the Champion. You're no longer going to be able to get that. And instead, you're going to get, the elite fucking, whatever, teabagger. That's the new line. And you can, purchase this, and it might be a different quality. It might suck. But maybe they're doing it as a cost-cutting thing, or maybe they call it the Champion, new mark or whatever. They change shit up, and it's like, it sucks. So get it. All we can do is really watch. And I mean, technically, under the same, even if it were the same ownership, that's not to say that like companies can't drop quality because of cost. On their own. Like it doesn't, that's not exclusive, because like you're a plastic maker or something. The plastics are a great example because there's so few parts, so you're a plastics maker and you're like, I'm doing this stuff, and you're like, listen, the cost of the resources to do this, to keep this at this price point, or I want to leave it, it's just too much. So I have to adjust what I'm doing. So then maybe like, after 4 or 5 years of doing things one way, you make a cost cutting measure so that this way you're not losing money on it. Right. And, you could be a mom and pop and have to be in the same kind of situation.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I totally get it. You know, it could be to where these folks are still primarily in control, but, you know, they're just kind of given the capital and the overhead, like, here, you know, here's a certain amount of money. Let's move on expanding your product or how you do it or whatnot, and then we get a certain percentage. It could be that, or, you know, the one that kind of made me, like, a little dumbfounded is when they purchased the Yamamotos and completely rebranded. You know, it was like I felt like that was the one company that did not need any rebrand because they're so popular.
It was yeah. Although I will say this, I do feel like the packaging and everything, their logos were quite dated. Like even a logo like Zoom or Big Bite Baits, you know, which
they're all dated.
They're all dated. But something about the Gary Yamamoto packaging it was super dated. But at the same time, you felt like you were purchasing something that had so much history, I guess. Yeah, it was just weird that they completely changed the color scheme and everything. Yeah, I think that's where I could understand updating and modernizing it. Yep. But keeping the same color scheme, you know, it's like, I remember when I first saw the new blue packaging, I'm like, I was like, what the fuck is this? It was a little bit more high contrast from that sea green fade to the like pearl. It was like, it was very, very strange. Yeah, but we'll see. I still love you, Yamamoto. Yeah, of course. You know, fucking still love you. They got that restaurant. No, that's Yamato. That's different. Oh, yeah. You know, whole other fucking right thing. By me. Yep. That was a whole other deal. I got the dude that I work with speed quizzing calling me right now because the guy who handles our books in the UK and is supposed to be paying us our quarterly is doing he also works for a rock band and he's doing like an in-store tour with them, so he hasn't paid us. I'm just gonna bill him a little additional. That's all I'm gonna do. There you go. You know, it's all good. It's fine. You know, the rock star tax. It is what it is. Oh goodness, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that, and I hear this brought up a lot, like, I'll use a company like Berkeley, you know? Sure. And they look at like, so that now, what does that mean? Like, are they going to start putting out different stuff under this brand that's going to be ripping off other designs? And it is this weird. I've heard other podcasts also talk about this too, where they're like, you know, it's a weird position to be in because you're like, on the one hand, like, it's not the original thing that was meant to be, but also at the same time, it does make it more accessible. You know, something along those lines. And you, ultimately, that's what's beautiful about it. You as the consumer can buy whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? 100%. If you have an issue with RoboWorm being now owned by, by GSM, fucking buy some fucking molds and make your own then. You know what I mean? Yep. That's the ultimate fuck you to everybody, except for the people that sell you the plastic. Yeah. And the molds. Unless you're paying top dollar to have them made custom. You know what's another brand that they have that I never that I hadn't noticed until recently? Do it? No. Oh, all right. Okay. Buka brand. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's the Buka brand. It's the like offshoot of the plastic versions of the Buka stuff. More of the resin stuff. Where it was actually who did they do that collab with? Was it Ketchco? They did. Yeah, it was with Ketchco. So it looks like it's that shit. But dude, I'm looking at their shit right now. They've even bought up a ton of hunting brands since the last time I looked. Like there's a bunch of new ones on here. Yeah. Really? Yeah, they got a ton of companies. The Frog Factory, which I didn't notice. The Buckeyes we talked about, Dobbins, Bill Lewis. Yeah, there's a lot of them. The Bill Lewis stuff, the Bill Lewis hits different for me because the rattle trap, right, which became the term for every lipless that's out there. Yeah, of course. You know, the rattle, you say rattle trap, and to most anglers, like, you're going to think the Bill Lewis rattle trap, but also when you say a rattle trap, like, it gets loosely thrown around for every single lipless crank that's out there. Yep. Like, it's so weird that now that's corporately owned by a giant corporation. I know, and like I know you're not a hunter, Bobby, but they have huge hunting brands on here. So here's a huge one. They own SOG knives. Really? They have SOG knives. No shit.
They have Cold Steel. They have the Muddy brand, so lines and stuff like that. These are huge. Halo Optics. They have Avian X, which is a huge decoy company. Which that's all the decoys I have are Avian X's. Bloodsport broadheads. They have, Buck Bomb. They have, just like HME is a big company. Flextone Calls is a huge company. Strut Calls, True Glow. They have
big fucking brands all owned by
Scentaway. Yeah, so their hunting brands far exceed their fishing brands in popularity, but more people fish than hunt. You know what I mean? So,
I think the point of entry to get into fishing is so much easier. Yeah. So it's just a good move to get people in there because you get people into it. While we're on the subject of hunting, though, I do want to tell you one thing I'm really looking forward to with this trip of up at Cayuga is that Janelle, enthusiast adventurer, had texted me earlier this week, and she's like, "Hey, Bobby, I'm finally making all that jerky with last year's deer."
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, you are?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You want spicy or you want teriyaki?" And I was like, I could go spicy teriyaki. Or
I was just going to say that.
I was like, or, pick my poison. She sent me an image of the dehydrator racks, and I don't know if she's just like, Bobby loves jerky, is under that impression. There is so much jerky she's dehydrating. I might not have to pack food.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what Todd says. He goes, both. And that's exactly what I told her. I was like, you can get crazy. You could do one, the other, or both. You could combine them. I'm like, I am wide open. We also had a conversation, and she said she was wishing that I was recording this conversation because when I left my wedding on Saturday, I got a text from her, and she's like, Bobby, I had a gummy, and it was a new kind, and I took it too early. I feel like I made an ass of myself in front of my family. So I told her, I was like, hey, if you need a friend right now to talk you off that ledge, I said, give me a call. My phone rang within seconds of sending that message.
Geez.
Oh, and I said, oddly enough,
Janelle.
Yeah, I was like, that is wild. I was like, so I go, I'm going to pick up some presents for you that I think will help you in your journey here. That'll be a little bit more mild. And I think you'll really enjoy it. She's like, oh, that would be great. So, yeah, I think we're going to go and do that. But, God, dude, she fucking cracks me up. Yeah, I'm stoked. I can't wait for this trip. Next week's show is going to blow your fucking minds, guys.
Can't wait.
I know that you said you got shit to do. Let's go ahead and do this. We'll wrap
I just
this
need
segment.
to give up the office.
Yeah.
I'm in my wife's office. It's just going to work.
Let's go ahead and do this. I'll wrap this up. We'll come back. We'll do Just the Tip. We'll do FTG. And then we're going to bang out Broke on the Boat, and we'll wrap this show, guys. We'll see you in just a minute. Don't go too far. Don't go too far. We'll see you guys. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for Just the Tip or Bait of the Week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast.
And perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
All right, guys. A little Just the Tip here. This one, Joe, does this come from right off the St. Lawrence?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
Nice.
And, this isn't something we talk about a lot. This has to do with for you folks who might operate a bass boat or a boat in general.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I kind of hit that rogue wave today, and this is just a little tip when that happens, because Bobby, there's a good chance it's going to happen to you at some point.
Oh, yeah.
The key, especially when you think about it, like with dirt bikes, when you hit those, like the triples they call and stuff, if you don't hit that fast enough, or if you come off the throttle or something, you're going to case it, crash, it's going to be bad. The key to essentially not just survive your boat surviving these, and it feels unnatural, but you have to throttle through them. The big thing is you want to hold that wheel as straight as you can, and you want to throttle through that wake until you come to the end of it, and then you can come off of it. And the reason being is, number one, if you come off the throttle and your nose comes down too quickly, you kind of case that wave, and it brings your nose down. You're going to spear that wave, and you're going to have all that water come up over. It's going to be a mess. That's when all the damage to your grabs, your trolling motor, all that stuff in the front happens. And the reason why you hold that steering wheel as straight as you possibly can and just hold it with a death grip, if you're throttling through that and that prop turns to the side the slightest way, that boat's going to whip to, either side, whatever side you go. And that's kind of what happened to Wes Logan when he crashed his boat up in Champlain this year. It's obviously easier said than done. It feels super unnatural and it's scary, but I'm glad I did it with this wave, because I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't. So the tip I have is if you hit a big wave in your boat, no matter what type of boat it is, whether it's a bass boat, something like a deep V like Bobby has or whatever, when in doubt, throttle out. Just hit that throttle until you're through those waves, and then you can can come off it and assess the situation. But it's
no shit.
Throttle out.
Now, that's got to be extremely difficult to do when you got a hot shoe. Or a hot hot foot. A hot foot, yeah. Like with my type of throttle, I just let go of that fucker and leave it and just fucking lock down. Yeah. But when it's your natural intention, if you move your foot,
is a come off. It's a come off. And so it was. I just hammered down, dude. I just put, and this is, I was kind of taught how to. Jay Haskins is actually the one on who taught me how to drive a bass boat. He's been doing it forever. Like he showed me the tips and tricks. Even like when we were in those 6 to 7 footers coming out of the bay the other day. We were kind of coming together, and he's like, hey, just keep your bow up, just make sure you don't spear, because we couldn't even really throttle into those ones because. They just started immediately, you know what I mean? So he's like, so we're just putting with our bows up and just kind of letting them hit the bows, at a slow speed. But super, like I said, it's a super unnatural feeling. It doesn't feel right, like you should. It's something it doesn't feel like you should be doing, but it's just what you have to do to alleviate any damage or injury, essentially, especially at high speeds. I was going way too fast. I should not have been going that fast. I actually feel like an asshole that I was doing that with my kid, because it was so smooth at the time. But I mean, you have cargo freighters coming through there. You have all the ferries and stuff. And it's weird. You'll have some freighters that don't put off any wake, and then you'll have one come through to where it's bringing in a 5 to 6 foot wake that you have to make sure you're not on any shoals or anything because you'll literally bottom out your boat.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a learning experience for me. Huge learning experience for me, especially with my kid. I'm an asshole. I did shit myself on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, John. Yeah. Learning experience, man. It's a learning experience. I'm glad I did what I did, and that's kind of why I'm throwing that tip out to you guys.
No, I love it. I think that's something that's like, and boats at different speeds and shit. Like my boat's going to be a different animal because the hull is totally a different style, and my top speed is half of what you were doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's going to react differently, but that's a good tip. Like, yeah, you got to commit to it, fucking lock it in straight, and then 100%. Keep that throttle exactly where it is, and just boom.
Yep.
Fuck. All right. Well, good to know, man.
Yeah.
This one's going to be interesting.
Hey, Bobby and Joe, this is Kevin from Biohazard Baston. I just want to do an FTG for all you motherfuckers that are not doing the goddamn multi-species tournament. It's the last one of the year. Let's fucking go, guys. Let's go!
I can't disagree.
I like it.
I'm with it. I'm with it. I wish we would have gotten this this message like a week or two in advance, because when this podcast drops, it's going to be the last day of registration. So if you're hearing this on the day it drops, you can be like, "Oops, oh shit!" Go over to Fishing Chaos and try and register. But like, if you guys miss out on this last month, this last one of the month, then it is what it is. You have to wait until April of 25 in order to get in on the scavenger hunts. And, I'm pretty happy with the way the scavenger hunts went this year. I'm not going to be adding any species or anything. I think this is a good fit for the majority of the country. We've had anglers from all over the country, at that 10,000 foot view. You know what I mean? In these little tiny pockets, like I think next year for me is going to be a little bit of a different animal. I'd like to try and make my goals more, instead of, I'm going to try to catch them all, more to, I want to catch the ones I hadn't caught yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or the ones I don't catch lightly or often, like lake trout, shit like that. So that's one of the things that I want to just kind of throw out there. Like, Kevin makes a really good point. It is the last one of the years. If you haven't gotten into it, go ahead and do so now. John says, definitely add a few extra species next year. That's the thing. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to do. I'm going to take a look and see what's out there. I don't know. I'd kind of like to just mix it up and see what we come up with. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I have thrown around the idea, Joe, of doing some other alternate species tournaments through Jigs and Bigs.
Okay.
Like a striper tournament.
Okay. All right.
I've considered that. That's one of my plans next year, too. And I have this conversation with Becca. I said, Becca, you realize I've never caught a striped bass before. And she's like, are you fucking serious? And I was like, yeah, never caught one. And I'm like, mainly because I previously would just like right off the Connecticut River, because I'm like, I'm either in my kayak or I got to fish it by the bank. I'm like, not ideal. Not the case anymore, so that's going to help. And then I'm just like, I'm not one to, I know it's a zoo at the canal. I don't give a shit about going and fishing out at the Cape for stripers. If I'm going to go fish the Cape, I'm going to go fish for largemouth and smallmouth and some of those ponds that are just beautiful and immaculate, So we'll see what happens. Todd says, take perch off. I don't necessarily know that that's going to happen, but we'll see. It could happen. We have one, so we'll see. It's one of those things. I know there's a lot of people have asked me to put drum on and maybe diversify some of the species. So, like, if you are a carp angler, you're not just getting like, I get to catch one carp. Like, you can catch a mirror, and that's the point. You can catch a common, or a ghost, and maybe it works for you in that sense. But we'll see. Shit. Maybe I'll add fall fish. I seem to do really great with them in the spring and summer. I seem to do really great with them. I don't know. Maybe we'll add a few more and we'll get a little fucking cute with it. We'll see what happens.
Even do like a one-day like pickerel tournament would be cool. Or like a one-day.
I would do that in a second, man.
Yeah, you know, or even like a one-day crappie tournament, one-day perch tournament, like shit people don't usually see.
You know what? Actually, I would really like to do. Says just joking. I got to add ways to find a keeper. John says add hybrid striper to that striper tourney, and we're in there. I could do that. I don't know how big hybrids get, but like it would if we combine those. Total inches would be the way to do it. A slot limit would be the way to do that. You know, they have to measure within a slot in order to make it, and it might be a big slot, but no pickerel here. Todd says. Still advocating for gar and buffalo. That's not. I'm not saying no to either one. I'm not. Buffalo, I would really like to add. Ohio record is 20 pounds and 32 inches for a hybrid. Okay. All right. That would be interesting. Do something, but I think a slot limit tournament would be the way to do it, where it would be total inches overall, online, CPR, and just go for it. Because somebody from the coast would just slay.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it would be fucked up for, somebody trying to fish for hybrids in the Midwest somewhere that's just like, oh, I'm going to fucking kill it. We do a slot limit tournament, it makes it a little bit easier, Yep. And I have to wonder how many of those, what do you call it? How many of those diehard striper anglers would just be like,
you can't do that. It's fucked up. Hybrids aren't fucking the true stripers. And blah, blah, blah.
You know what I mean? How many people would just get super butthurt about it? But I don't know. Fuck around with it and see what's going on. But this is something that I've really wanted to talk about all show, and I've left out specifically. So let's sit tight for a second. We'll get right into it.
It's time to go broke on the boat. Joe and Bobby's Guide to Fishing Your Funds Away.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Goddamn right. So there's a couple of things going on. First and foremost, that this isn't broke on the boat, but it's just more about the boat just in general. Like I went and bought some really, really cheap accessories. I had gone down to Cabela's, and what I wanted to pick up was one of those 4-tube rod holders. And I was going to attach it to my console, and then it would allow me to have the 3, so I could put that I have the Yak Attack ones that are mounted on the rail, and then I could put the other ones up there. And the purpose was to clear up that real estate, because what I was doing was right by my console, right next to my throttle, actually. I was just laying all my rods down on that rod storage, which is full of 3700 boxes. So those rod storage boxes aren't used for rods, because I store my rods primarily in the Forerunner, when I'm traveling. So I take out the things that I need, and it's all good. So I was like, I kind of want to free this up and have them over, so where I'm not like, oh, I got to change out this rod. Let me go to the back of the boat and go get this and everything. So now I have it set where I've got, initially I was going to put it at the front of my console, but I realized my live well wouldn't be able to open with it there. So I was like, shit. So I put it on the side of the console, which I actually think works better because it's a little bit closer to the middle of the boat, less likely to get smacked with like rods flinging around or anything. And like the ones that I keep on the rail, they're kind of angled back a little bit to allow a little bit more space, and it works great. So now I have the ability to store 7 rods up there, plus the one that I'm using. And guess how many rods I currently take out on the boat with me? 8. It's perfect. It's perfect. And this way, that rod storage where I was laying my rods previously is space now that, like, when I'm out with my dad or with Paul or with whomever I'm fishing with Janelle on the 12th for the derb, she can have her gear out there and kind of command that. I also picked up this little organizer, and I didn't realize that it was like a suction cup mount organizer and not one that had hardware I could screw in somewhere. But it actually works out a little bit better, because with the suction cups, like, there's no one great spot to put it. I initially was considering putting it on the front where I was, because it's got like a spot for pliers and scissors, and you can hang lures, and it will allow them to drain and dry out, which I love. The problem is that I have the same features, except for the cup holder, on my 4-tube rod holder. Like, it's right there. I can put pliers there. So I think what I'm going to do is I mounted the suction cups on the bottom And I'm just going to pop that down on the floor right over by the back casting deck so that this way, whomever is back there has an opportunity to take their pliers off their bag and put them there so they're easily accessible. A line clipper, stuff like they can kind of move in a little bit and have a caddy to be able to move around wherever they need it. You know, even if they don't want to use the suction cups, like they could just take it and put it off to the side and keep everything together. Todd says, put a roto grip for your net, easy access. You know, I considered that. If I was going to do it, it would be a roto grip that would hang over the side of the boat. Or I could do it on the interior. I'd have to play around with it. That might not actually work with the net that I use. But right now, what I use for the net is I just lean it up against the front casting deck with the handle going up right next to me, and I leave it vertical up and down up against that wall of the boat, and it's out of the way. I can move around on the floor of the boat with no problem, and also access it really, really easily. So it works out really, really good. Do it vertical. You know, I considered doing it vertical, Todd. The problem is with that, the hoop of the net is so big, it's just a magnet to get like tangled up with a lure. You know, you throw a jerk bait and it's going to grab the netting and just hold it, and it's like, that's going to be a mess. You know, I could use one of those rod holders in the center of the boat to put it there. 100% I could do that. That could work. But we'll play, you know, we'll see what happens. That's why I'm taking the boat out tomorrow, is to test drive a lot of this shit. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is this. The other upgrade that happened was these boat steps from Omega. And I'm going to go and be completely transparent about all of this. So I initially was asking questions. Like I said, for a while now, I had been drinking the Lund Kool-Aid quite a bit. In fact, I just got a package Friday night from Lund welcoming me to the official Lund Owners Club. Yep. All I had to do was give them thousands of dollars to buy the boat, and I'm in. So I got a hat and a Lund sticker that will be going on the rear window of the Forerunner at some point. And I had you know, asked a bunch of questions about boat steps. I was like, what's out there? The only ones I had ever heard of were from Boat Effects, you know. And I was like, are they worth it? Are they, you know, what did everybody have to say? So I put this post up in the Lund Owners group on Facebook, and I got a ton of feedback from a bunch of different people recommending. I think in total there were 5 different companies that folks had recommended for different boat steps, and there was really, most of them are the same similar style design, where there is a bracket that goes around your trailer, around the frame of your trailer, extends out, and then the steps go alongside where your boat goes. The only other one, there was one, I think it was called Easy Step, which had a different setup where there was multiple spots where there was one small step. And also what made Easy Step really different was that their grip wasn't like a tape or an adhesive that went on the step. It was like metal, like you don't remember those old bicycle pedals? Yep. Joe used to fucking destroy your
kill your shins.
Dude. Oh yeah. It was like those. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I was like, okay, self, let's see what we can do here. So I reached out to all of these companies, and I said, listen, I want to provide you guys with a review, you know, full comprehensive review of everything. And this will be long term, because I'm not going to give you the final, like, this is what I think of this product now. It'll be like a year. You're going to hear me go back and talk about these steps. And the company that was the first one to reach out and was game to do this was Omega. So here's a little bit of information about Omega right here. They started in 2017 as a typical family-owned operation. They're located in East Tennessee, and they use 100% USA materials. They have a variety of different products. They make boat steps, but they have a variety of different configurations for different boats. Now, they are made, what was it say? It says that they employ some of the best fabricators, engineers, and machinists in East Tennessee to ensure you'll be satisfied with any of the model of our steps, whether you mount the perfect fit on your rig, or whether it's a brand new Ranger or 40-year-old Bullet. So I was very interested in this, and I had sent an email And Omega got back in touch with me, and they were absolutely amazing to deal with, like super, just awesome. And they had recommended, it was Jacob over there that had sent me the initial email. He had recommended what they call the Quadzilla, which is a 4-step system with an extension bracket that comes off of the frame. So he said we'd love to send you some and talk about it. And we're the plan is I want to have Jacob on the show to talk more in depth about the company and more in depth about the product and stuff like that. So that will be coming in the future. So awesome. This product arrived early last week. I want to say like last Monday or Tuesday. No, it was Monday. Actually, they showed up, and I popped them right in the back of the boat. I was like, I'm gonna take the boat down to JCS and we'll see what's up. I was fully set on installing these myself. I wanted to install them myself. And so when I got back Tuesday after I left JCS, I was like, sweet, I'm going to put these together. So let's start with the beginning. The packaging on here these are packed unbelievably well. Like everything is wrapped tight. There's plenty of packing paper in there, so nothing's moving around. Granted, these are, it's just all a bunch of steel, and hardware. The hardware was well laid out. There were other, depending on the trailer, there were different bolts that you could use depending on what your frame was like. The instructions were easy to follow, but there weren't any diagrams or anything like that. It was all just descriptive. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Pretty easy to put together. I think we had 4 bolts that went around on the extension that came over, the 4 bolts that connected the steps to the extension, and then there were 2 other bolts that connected to the handle to the steps. They did also send me an angled handle upgrade. I'm holding off on installing that because I want to get accustomed to using this configuration, and then I'll add that to see if it's really worthwhile. I assembled this thing, and it took me maybe about a half hour, It wasn't too bad at all. I'll tell you what, it would be way easier if you have another person helping you do it. Because you can have somebody, like some of these things are pretty heavy, and like having somebody to hold them in place while you're getting things together would certainly make things easier. So I would recommend having another set of hands to help make it a little bit, simpler. But they came together in about 30 minutes. Once everything was said and done, I gave him the ultimate test. Your boy is not fucking light. Bobby roast beef comes in at around 300 pounds, and these things I believe are rated for 450. Let me look up the Quadzillas while I'm thinking about it. Let's look up the Quadzillas specifically and see what they're rated for. 450 pound capacity. Big boy certified at 450 pound capacity. So it was really great working with Jacob. He sent me some detailed instructions on how to measure for the extension. I sent him my measurements and everything. I fucked up the measurements, and he goes, I think where you were measuring was a little bit off. Let's go ahead and send you this extension. And what he sent me was perfect. And in fact, if you look at their website, you'll see that the boat that they show at the Quadzilla
is your boat?
Is basically my boat. I don't think that's an angler. I think that is a Rebel, but very, very close. Very, very close. And I'm just like, oh shit, that's like the perfect fucking fit. So that's what we did. We set this sucker up. It's awesome. It's in place. Yesterday while I was installing the rod holders, I thought that I was going to be able to just drill in with self-tapping screws into the wood of my center console. Then I discovered that it was, in fact, aluminum. So I had to run out and grab my drill. So I jumped up, hopped down the steps. Like, is it graceful? Those are small steps. And, you know what I mean? It's like, this isn't a knock at Omega. This is just overall. Don't think you're going to, run up and down the stairs in your house. Like, it's not like that. It's just easier than fucking flinging your leg over the side and, pulling yourself up and everything else. It's a little bit more, and the real reason why I'm excited to have these isn't necessarily for me. It is for the folks that'll be fishing with in colder water. So that when I go out there with Jimmy or Paul or whomever, or my dad, they can go, and instead of having to climb over the side of the boat, because that's a pain in the ass for my father to do with his joints. This will work much better because he'll have a railing and the rail of the boat. He can climb up that way, get into the boat, get comfortable. I can just drive. In fact, I'm actually, after my dad's experience driving the boat, I'm probably not going to tie a rope on. I'll have him get in, drive it over, just pull up onto the beach, and I'll climb in with my boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make life nice and easy. So, big shout out to Jacob and Omega. Thank you very much. So far, installation, unboxing, everything else, thumbs up. It's pretty awesome. They did send over some stickers so that I could do some branding and stuff. I'll be popping one of those stickers on my truck. And, I'm stoked. So we'll, as far as the future, we will have more to give you guys regarding how the boat steps, work over time. But the future's looking good, and I'm stoked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, that's my little broke on the boat stuff. We will have another broke on the boat regarding Pat Martin's submission on the hotline. So, remember, you guys should call the hotline at any time for a myriad of reasons, whether you want to submit your spooky story or you want to maybe throw an FTG out there, you want to ask us a question, make a request, something like that. And we have coming up very soon a survey for our listeners and followers on social media. We want to get to know you guys a little bit better and kind of figure out where our audience is at and what they maybe are looking for from us. Kind of dial you guys in as anglers too, not just as followers and friends and stuff on social media. Like as anglers, we want to kind of figure out like, what are you struggling with? What are you doing well with? Does pineapple go on pizza? I don't know. Now, actually, I do know, and it does. We'll have a conversation, Nick, in Cayuga. Let's wrap this sucker up, man. I know we're coming down to the wire. I'm not going to leave you or Meg hanging. You got anything you want to add here as we go out there, Joe?
No, man, that's it. Good show. Can't wait to, in a couple weeks I'll be able to talk about St. Lawrence again.
I know.
Looking forward to that.
We'll be able to talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm still planning on going up on Saturday.
That's right.
I can't wait. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fish. That's the only thing. I am more than willing to take that Friday off.
Yeah.
And go up, but man, I don't know. It'll be wonderful. It'll be interesting.
I can't wait to hear about Cayuga. So.
Cayuga's going to be nuts. Get ready, everybody. Don't forget, your registration is open all the way until, I think 7 a.m. that morning. So, if you're on the fence, just commit. Just do it. It benefits Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and you're doing a good thing. We will see you guys in 7 days with more speed quizzing, with more Jigs and Bigs goodness. Until then, keep doing what you're doing as far as tagging us on social media. We love to give you guys a little bit of love back, sharing your stuff, throwing some mentions out there, everything else. If you have anything that you would like to ask us, feel free to shoot us a DM, call the hotline, or email us at jigsandbigs413@gmail.com. For Who the Fuck is Joe Brown, I am Bobby the Fucking Roast Beef, and we will see you guys with more Jigs and Bigs next week. Have yourself a great week, and you catching any?
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.